Great civilizations appeared on our continent, flourished and grew during the 3rd millennium BC on the islands and along the coastline of the Aegean Sea, from which they get their name, the Aegean Civilizations.
The Cycladic Civilization was particularly developed. It was born in the Cyclades, islands that got their name from the fact they formed a kind of circle. The Cycladic Civilization also produced the first examples of ceramics.
Among the most famous crafts produced during this period were the statuettes made out of Parian marble and coming from the island of Paros, home, later on, to greatest masterpieces of classical sculpture.
Aside from its artistic prowess, the importance of the Cycladic culture lies in the fact that it laid the basis on which one of the greatest civilizations of European proto-history would take root, grow, and flourish: the Cretan civilization.
The man who discovered it was Sir Arthur Evans when he began excavating on the island of Crete in 1900. He called it the Minoan Civilization, after Minos, the mythical king of Crete.
The success of these artifacts is demonstrated by the so-called Vasiliki vases that got their name from an area in the middle of the island and where many of them have been found. But the most significant fact in the history of Cretan ceramics is represented by the appearance, in the Middle Minoan Age, of the most effectively decorated works in the entire ancient world, the Kamares style. These were initially discovered near the town of Kamares in the caves of Mount Ida, where, according to Greek mythology, Zeus was brought up. They were exported everywhere as far as Egypt and the Syrian Palestine.
Some of these objects have deep symbolic value, like the double axe, called a labrys, which represented political and religious power wielded by the king.
The use of metal developed greatly in the field of weapon making, which was one of the most celebrated activities of the Minoan civilization. These swords are examples of their extensive production. Not only are they especially large,
different types of jewelry were produced, from earrings and bracelets to rings and diadems, amazingly thin chains, gold necklaces with embossed or beaten elements, or decorated with precious stones like amethyst, onyx, sardonyx, and rock crystal.
the remains of the palace of Festus may appear unimpressive, yet they are the oldest architectural examples in Western culture.
Commercial trade with Egypt, Syria, and Asia Minor intensified. Minoan produce spread throughout the eastern and central Mediterranean as far as the coasts of the Black Sea, Sicily, and, according to some, even as far as Britain. These products included vases made out of stone, marble, and alabaster, of which we see some examples in the Museum of Heraklion.
The complex was protected by simple walls, guarded by small towers and guard posts. Here we see the remains of the East Bastion. The entrances stood on the north, west, and south sides. The north gate is situated along the ramp that leads to the harbour road. This vast courtyard led via the long processional corridor, thus named because of its richly decorative frescoes, to the main entrance. This was commonly known as the Great Propylaeon, because of its similarity with future similar Greek designs and monumental entranceways. This is where the pictorial cycle that accompanied guests along the entire processional corridor concluded. It comprises two rooms, a waiting room or antechamera, where ambassadors and guests performed ritual ablutions before being brought into the presence of the sovereign, and the throne room itself. Rows of seating lined the sides of the room like a crown around the throne. These were originally made out of alabaster.
Minoan architecture is marked by the harmonic relationship created between the building and the natural environment in which it finds itself. The facades are broken up as though the architect wanted to avoid straight lines and symmetry in order to have the building blend in with its surroundings. This is completely different from the absolute symmetry proposed by Egyptian architectural models or the ideal balance of Greek structures. Minoan architecture seems more intent on reflecting the autonomous and spontaneous flow of nature, which is why it articulates.
Where human figures are represented, they are usually involved in some joyful scenario or palace ceremony. White is used for women's skin, red for men's. Human figures are depicted with great vivacity and often in miniature.
Together with its architectural style, fresco was one of the great revelations of Cretan art. This kind of art reflects a dignified civilization where women played an important role, where the court was refined, lively, and sophisticated. Bejeweled women are depicted wearing finely embroidered clothes and complicated hairstyles. Their poses are natural and graceful. This figure is especially famous. Evans called her the Belle Parisienne because of her coquettish looks.
The conclusion is that the Cretans, whom many experts consider the first European nation, created a joyful civilization. They were lovers of pleasure, healthy and sophisticated, prosperous and self-assured. A civilization born in a peaceful and hard-working environment, based on deep religious feeling and boundless love of nature.
In this ideal atmosphere, the Cretan artist could explore the secret beauties of life and express the intimate world of nature through the multiple forms of art.